Okay. Well, it looks like it's live. We're a little bit, I don't know, janky. We're just going with the lower tech option right now because I just got back yesterday evening from the Scully Sisters trip where we all got together live and did our retreat. And so my camera and my microphone are packed, and I remember packing them, and they are not where I remember them being. And I could not find my better camera and better microphone. So we're just going to go with what we have. Just the laptop default is not awful. So here we are on this Monday morning. It's a school break week for us and a rainy, kind of blustery day outside. So it just feels a little bit off, but maybe where you are, it's a little bit better. And so I would love to hear how you are doing with the Organize October planner, putting together a planner stuff. Last week was all about calendars, and this week is all about weekly dashboards. And those two pieces play together very well. One kind of leads into the other. They talk together very well. And when you have both of those pieces, you have a plan. Like there are other things that might be handy, but if you have a calendar that has everything on it and you have a way to write down details that you need to see in a week, then you have a working planner. And that working planner can just be a spiral notebook. It's important to not overthink it. So, as you are putting together your planner, especially as you are working on implementing your weekly dashboard, hopefully you've already chosen one. We did that, before the calendar week. We had a lot on how to choose what planner to use. If you don't have a weekly dashboard or a planner with a weekly view, just pick up a notepad that you have laying around. Pick up one that you wish you used, but you don't really have a use for. Find that stack of notebooks. It's like, oh, I bought it because it was so cute, but I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Just use that as your weekly planner as we get started, because you don't need all the fancy bells and whistles templates that it feels like those get you halfway to a working planner. And sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. Really, all your weekly dashboard is a bunch of notes to self. That's what the weekly planner boils down to. And so in a lot of planners, you will see weekly views, but the other very common view is a daily view. And I used a daily view for a number of years. I had a long stretch with a weekly dashboard, one that I printed off and just put on a clipboard. And then I went for the full focus planner for a few years there was a weekly review page, but it didn't really function as a weekly dashboard at all. Really, you were supposed to make your plan every day and turn a new page every day. So when you were looking at your plan, it was just for one day, not for a whole week. Eventually, the last couple that I was using that had that daily view, I just could not make it relieve the mental pressure of keeping track of stuff without a weekly view. And so I ended up using a little, I don't know, kind of light plastic sheet with my weekly dashboard things. And I'd use that as a bookmark, but it had my Post-it notes that was basically functioning as my weekly dashboard. And that worked a whole lot better. And what I realized is even if you have enough stuff going on in a day where you would like a full page for the day, really a weekly view makes the most sense. It makes sense to view your day in a week. It makes sense to think about what needs to happen in terms of a week. And anything shorter than a week, and you are still feeling like you're playing catch up. Like you don't really know what's going on, even if you're looking at your calendar, even if you have a monthly view that has kind of a big picture, you need to be looking at the days ahead to have that sense of, okay, I know where we're at. I know what's next. I know where I'm at, and I'm comfortable making choices in the moment for what I should be doing. And so, no matter what you're using, you do want to have a weekly view, especially as moms. Maybe if you just have an executive desk job and there might be circumstances where the daily view is best or essential. Um, but as moms tracking a lot of details and a lot of different pieces in our lives, we want to have the view of the week. And we want to have a list of things to do this week and not rewrite it every day. Like the things that, oh, that didn't happen, so I'm going to move it. Instead of assigning things to a particular day, we really do need a running list for the week because we're doing things, fitting them into margins. It doesn't really matter much of the time for our things if we do them on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. They just need to happen. And so they have to be on our radar. And it's also a very nice feeling when you start to see those check marks accumulate. That's so helpful. So, no matter what you are using as a planner, either a printed template, a bound planner that you have, just a spiral notebook, a piece of blank paper on a clipboard, think of the thing that you are looking at as your weekly view. And then ask yourself, what do I need to do this week? What do I need to keep in front of my face this week? What do I need to think about ahead of time and then give myself some lists or some notes or some ideas to help make this week happen, to be prepared for this week to happen? And so your planner, your weekly planner page, whatever it is what helps you be prepared to make wise choices in the moment. Your planner isn't the control document that's dictating how things will go. And your weekly planner isn't your set of predictions for how you think the week will go. And then you try to make your predictions come true. It really is a set of notes to self so that as you're living life, you are making wise choices because you've done some thinking and you've written some things down. And so what it is that you need to write down or track is going to depend on your situation and your needs and your responsibilities. No one can tell you, do this and you will be prepared. Like, just do exactly what I do and you'll be prepared. You don't need to do exactly what I'm doing. And there's probably no one else who has an exact identical life. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to sit down and become a planner designer of yourself, all for yourself, all alone, and come up with some prepared template that is going to help you predict what you should be doing this week. Because that's not really what the planner is for. And a lot of times those pieces on a prepared planner will actually cause you to overthink things or overplan things or feel guilty for not doing what someone else thought was important but really is not important in your life. The planner page isn't a worksheet that you're given that if you fill it in, then you will be prepared. If you're treating your planner as a worksheet, that you fill in and then get graded on, then you're really not using it to be prepared for your current life and to then make wise choices in the moment. You're trying to outsource your responsibility, to delegate the responsibility of thinking about your life and figuring out what notes to self you need to make this week happen. But the notes that you need this week might not even be the same as the notes that you need next week. Sometimes we're in seasons like that. And so there isn't a one size fits all planner page that we could all use and would work for all of us. But also, the more specific and particular a planner page gets, the more likely that it's just a busy work activity for you that makes you feel better about yourself, but isn't actually applicable to your life and preparing you for your real life. It just becomes an extra thing on top of your life that you are also doing instead of being a tool that's serving your life. Because the tool that's serving your life is going to be messy, because life is messy, and your plan should reflect real life. And that means, you're going to be erasing things and changing things and crossing things out and adding things in. And then there wasn't space for that, so it's kind of written on the side. That's real life. And it's completely fine. It's actually better for your planner to reflect your real life than to be a craft project or a scrapbook page. So don't overthink it. Planners do not work better the more you have written down, necessarily. It's not like volume or word count is indicative of a better planner page. That's also not the way it works. You need to have the things that you need. And you don't have to figure out once and for all what that will be. You need to have paper, or whatever it is you're using, your notes app or whatever. You need to have something at hand to write down what you're thinking and what needs to be done. But you don't have to predict ahead of time what it is necessarily that you need to have done. But as you use a planner, the more you use a planner, the more experience you get for yourself. You're going to begin developing habits and noticing trends and writing down the things that make sense for you. Not because you sat down and figured it out, kind of in thinking mode or in planning mode, but because by actually writing things down throughout the weeks, you realize what helps. And you start doing what helps more and more, and you start, not, letting go of what is just a waste of time to write down. So you can have a meal plan on your weekly dashboard, and it can be plotted out by day. And you can make a plan that looks great and then doesn't actually work with life as it unfolds. And that was probably overthinking it, right? Assuming that that's what a meal plan is or should look like, is there should be a dinner on every day of the week. And it's like, well, why not just make a list of the options that you have, right? The point is actually thinking about what would make sense or what's possible, and then writing things down. And then you can work from what's written down. And it can be as simple and bare bones as that. That can actually be much more functional. You can truly be more organized just having a collection of random lists for the week on a notebook page than, with a fancy pants full focus planner that makes you feel organized. It makes you feel, like, oh, see, this is the kind of thing that people who have their act together do. So I'm just going to have this accessory that says, oh, I'm organized. But actually, It's just the little spiral notebook that's really doing the work of helping me be prepared. That's great. Melissa in the chat says that she's been using the template that's included. Well, it's included inside Convivial Circle for Organize October, but she says she's changed what's on there. This week is a mix of meals, projects, and weekly homeschool goals. That's perfect. And that's why I kind of like, so on my weekly dashboard, there are like, I think it's four, right? Four different categories. And there are things I usually break out and have, it's like these are the four areas that I want to think through and like, okay, what needs to happen in this area? But sometimes those change because weeks are different. And so I just need a place to write lists. And I like to categorize things. So I like to have a few different lists. And then there's the running list that I just use for a catch-all. Like, I don't care what area this belongs in. I don't care what vocation. I don't care what day. But this is something that needs to happen, and I need to keep it on my radar. The weekly planner page is your radar. That's all it is. Yes, sticky notes. You could have, just a board, a clipboard that didn't even have a page. It could just have sticky notes. You got your daily card, and then you have different projects or thoughts or notes to self, and then the sticky notes can change. But it's very flexible. And so if you want to just figure things out, that can be a great flexible way to have something that's easily rearrangeable and very visibly a work in progress. Christine says, put my sticky notes on one sheet of paper, and that's a weekly dashboard. That's right. It sure is. If you think about a dashboard, and let's see, whose interview? Someone, I think, one of the interviews coming up, she pointed this out. So this is not original. I'm copying her, even though the episode hasn't aired yet. She's not copying me. But the dashboard terminology works really well if we think about, your car dashboard. It's just a few bits of information that are the most helpful to have visible. It's not all the information about your car. It's not all the information about your drive. It's, okay, what do you need to have in front of your face while you are driving right now? Well, you need this icon, you need this meter, you need to see this, and if something goes wrong, this thing over here is going to blink. Right? These are the things that make a difference while you are driving. For this particular use case, you don't need every piece of information in front of your face. You need these particular things, areas on your radar. And so you can glance down at it, like your eyes are actually on the road, but you can glance down and get oriented to where you're at and make sure everything's okay, and then go back to looking at the road. Well, the road is your life. Most of the time, your eyes should be on the road, and then you should be able to just glance down and see where you're at on your dashboard. So the weekly dashboard is, it might sound official, but it's not overly specific, because different lives need different dials and radars and lists on their dashboard. But the dashboard is the thing that you glance at while you are living life, right? The dashboard is not driving for you. The dashboard isn't controlling anything. It's just letting you know. And it's useful when you glance at it. So if you feel like you're reading a newspaper article when you're looking at your plan, then it has too many words on it. Your weekly dashboard should be the kind of thing that you can glance at to get reoriented and make sure you've got the right things going. So that's why I really like the terminology of weekly dashboard. Um, a planner page can work. A notes app, just one note for the whole week, can work great. Anything can work. You just have to be able to glance at it on the go. And it gives you information you need for the drive, for the journey, for life. It's not really doing anything. But sometimes we kind of invest so much into the planner because we somehow think that if we put enough into it, things will just happen. But things happen when we do them. So really, we're just preparing ourselves. Writing things down is a way of preparing ourselves for doing it. But we're still doing it. So doing it, we want to write down the things that help us do the right things. And then we want to remember that spending our time doing the things is what makes a difference. All right. So we will be talking more about what goes on your weekly dashboard and how to use it and all that good stuff for this whole week. There will be an episode every weekday this week, and they will all be on the weekly dashboard. And if you're signed up for the Organize October Challenge, then you'll get an email every day this week all about putting together your weekly dashboard, thinking about it, doing it, applying it. And so you can get those emails. You'll automatically get them if you're in Convivial Circle, but these emails with the podcast episodes and all of that are free. So you can sign up at simplyconvivial.com/October to be a part of this Organize October challenge. We're going all month long, developing not just a working planner, but also the habits that help us stay on top of our lives with the tool of a planner. So the habits that allow us to use a planner as a working, effective tool in our lives for, just not getting stressed out or feeling scattered while we do all the things that we need to do. So this week is the weekly dashboard. Next week, we'll be back here on YouTube Live again on Monday, talking about the daily card. And then the week after that, the interval plan. So if you're in Convivial Circle and you want more information about the weekly dashboard, check out the module inside Work Your Plan. There's a whole module in the Work Your Plan course, all on the weekly dashboard. And there are also some alternative templates if you do want a printable to just help you get started. There are a number, and then there are also examples of different people's dashboards of all kinds. I tried to choose, like one that's just a whiteboard on the fridge, and one that is a paper on a clipboard, and one that's a planner. Where or how doesn't matter so much as that you have a place to give yourself notes for the week. So I'm excited to see different dashboards in our monthly topic chat space inside Convivial Circle as we help one another out with improving our weekly dashboards, and stay tuned for those upcoming episodes. Thank you so much.